She thought working late nights as a janitor would keep her safe from the man who once broke her. But when her baby daddy showed up at the office, shouting her name and pounding on the glass doors, panic took over. She ran, heart racing, straight into the CEO's office and, without thinking, sat on his lap, trembling. The room went silent, and that's when the millionaire leaned in and whispered, "Act like you're mine. I'll protect you." What happened next would shatter her past and rewrite her future forever.
Hello, if you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and tap the notification bell. Type in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow I will be giving you another story just as touching as this one, or maybe even crazier. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's begin.
Michelle Clark's hands ached from hours of scrubbing floors that never seemed to stay clean. The scent of disinfectant clung to her skin, and the hum of fluorescent lights was the only soundtrack to her nights. Every evening at Gardner Industries, when the last executive left and silence filled the marble hallways, Michelle found a strange comfort in the solitude. No one noticed her. No one asked questions. And for the last 2 years, that had been enough. But tonight felt different. Her chest tightened every time the elevator dinged. Her eyes flicked to the glass doors at the end of the corridor, half expecting to see a familiar, unwelcome shadow. John Bailey. Her ex, her nightmare, the man who'd once called her his everything, right before turning her life into a cage. She hadn't seen him in over a year, not since the restraining order, not since she'd fled with her son Marshawn. But lately, the phone calls had started again. The hang-ups, the headlights parked outside her apartment at night. She told herself she was imagining things, until now.
Bill Gardner's office was the only one still lit on the 50th floor. The man everyone called the ghost of the boardroom because he preferred silence over spectacle. A self-made CEO who'd built his empire from an old repair shop and sheer determination. He noticed things most people didn't, like how the night janitor never complained, never wasted a word, but always made sure his office was spotless. He'd even caught her humming once, a soft tune, almost apologetic. That night, he stepped out of his office just as Michelle was buffing the floors near reception. "Long night?" he asked, his voice calm, almost gentle. She startled, clutching the mop like a shield. "Oh, sorry, Mr. Gardner. Didn't mean to—" He smiled faintly. "It's Bill. You don't have to call me that." Her lips curved in a quick, nervous smile. "Right, Bill." She went back to work, pretending not to notice his eyes. Not the kind that judged, but the kind that saw. The kind that made her feel human again, even just for a moment.
It happened fast. The elevator dinged again, but this time the sound didn't fade. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor, followed by a voice that made Michelle's blood run cold. "Michelle, you in here?" John's voice, low, rough, mocking. The mop slipped from her fingers, her throat tightened. He wasn't supposed to be here. No one outside staff could access this floor. She stumbled backward, panic clawing at her chest. "No, no, no!" Bill's door swung open. "Michelle?" Before she could speak, John rounded the corner, eyes burning. "There you are," he said, grinning. "Been looking everywhere for you. Thought you could hide?" Her body moved on instinct. She darted past him, straight into Bill's office. The smell of coffee and paper filled her nose as she slammed the door behind her. John's fist hit the glass. "Michelle!" Her whole body trembled. Bill stepped forward, calm but alert, reading the terror on her face before she could explain. "What's going on?" he asked quietly. She shook her head, breathless. "He's here, my ex. He's not supposed to. Please, he'll—" And then the door swung open. John stood in the doorway, his smirk spreading like oil. "Didn't know you had company, sweetheart." Bill's jaw tightened. The tension in the room was electric. Fear met authority. Predator met protector. Michelle froze, trapped between them. Every instinct screamed at her to disappear. Instead, she did something even she didn't understand. She turned and sat down on Bill's lap. The world went still. Her hands shook as she gripped his shoulder, her voice trembling. "Please, just act like you're mine." Bill didn't flinch. His arm came around her waist, firm and reassuring. His voice was low, steady, the kind of voice that could stop storms. "Act like you're mine," he murmured against her ear. "I'll protect you." John's smirk faltered. "What the hell is this?" Bill looked him dead in the eye. "That's my girlfriend you're shouting at."
For a heartbeat, no one moved. The only sound was the faint hum of the air vents and the blood pounding in Michelle's ears. John's eyes flicked from her trembling hands to Bill's calm, unreadable face. "Get up," John growled, his voice low, dangerous. "You think you can play games with me, sit on some rich man's lap and hide?" Bill didn't move. His hand stayed at Michelle's waist, steady, anchoring her in place. "I think you've said enough," he replied evenly. The two men stared at each other, worlds apart, one built on power, the other on control. Michelle could feel John's rage vibrating in the air, the same rage that once filled their apartment walls with holes and her nights with silence. She had spent years shrinking from that sound. Not tonight. "John," she said softly, her voice trembling but audible, "you need to leave." His laugh was cold. "Leave? You're coming with me, Michelle. You've had your little break. Time to come home. Marshawn needs his father." Her breath caught. The way he said their son's name, like a weapon. Bill's voice cut through the room like steel wrapped in velvet. "You're not taking anyone anywhere." John sneered. "You think money makes her her hero? You don't know her like I do." "I don't have to. I know what fear looks like, and I know what respect doesn't." John's jaw flexed. He stepped forward, shoulders squared, trying to reclaim the space. Michelle felt Bill's arm tighten, not possessively, but protectively. She could feel his heartbeat through his shirt, steady and controlled. People had always told Bill Gardner he had an intimidating presence. Boardrooms went silent when he spoke. But this was different. The stakes weren't numbers. They were human. John took another step closer. "You don't know what she's like when—" "Enough," Bill interrupted quietly. He reached for the phone on his desk. "Kendall, I need security at the top floor, now." That was when something changed in Michelle's eyes. Watching Bill speak with that calm certainty made something inside her stir, something that had been buried beneath years of fear. Courage. Security arrived in less than 2 minutes, but by then, the damage and the transformation had already begun. As the guards escorted John toward the elevators, he twisted back, shouting, "This isn't over, Michelle. You'll come back. You always do." She stood up, finally off Bill's lap, but still within the circle of his calm. And for the first time in years, she faced John directly. "No, John," she said clearly, her voice steady. "This time, I won't." The elevator door slid shut, swallowing the sound of his anger. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of release. Bill turned to her. "Are you all right?" She nodded, eyes glistening. "I think so. I think I finally am."
Security filed reports. Police were called. Statements were made. The usual corporate procedure. But none of it felt usual to Michelle. Sitting in Bill's office, she stared at her reflection in the dark window. She looked exhausted, but not broken. The woman staring back was someone she hadn't seen in years. Someone who still had fight left in her. Bill returned from speaking with security. "They'll keep an eye on him. The police have the restraining order on record." Michelle nodded. "He'll find another way."
He might, Bill admitted. But this time, he won't find you alone. She blinked at him, unsure how to respond. Why would you even help me? You don't even know me. He smiled faintly. You work here. You keep this building standing when no one else notices. That's enough. Her throat tightened. She wasn't used to kindness without a price tag attached. Thank you, she whispered. Bill hesitated, then added softly, and if you ever need anything, legal, financial, or just someone to listen, my door's open. Sometimes a stranger's belief in you feels stronger than your own. Have you ever had someone step into your storm, even when they didn't have to? Tell us in the comments. The next few weeks passed in fragments. Court dates, police calls, restless nights. Bill quietly arranged legal counsel for her, paying out of pocket, without ever mentioning it again. Nancy Neeland, the kind senior custodian, stayed by her side, making sure she ate, reminding her to breathe. And little by little, Michelle started living again. She found laughter in Marchand's silly jokes. She started taking online classes. She even asked for a supervisor position. The first promotion she'd ever applied for.
The offices of Gardner Industries looked different in the daylight, and so did Michelle. She now wore a tailored uniform with her name stitched neatly across the chest, facility supervisor. Her posture had changed. Her eyes held light again. Bill passed her in the corridor one morning and paused. "You're running the place better than I ever did," he joked. She laughed softly. "Well, I had a good example." John Bailey, meanwhile, was serving an 18-month sentence after violating multiple restraining orders. The police had finally connected his pattern of harassment across 2 states. Michelle had testified, her voice clear and unwavering. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's built in quiet mornings and small victories, like realizing you can walk to your car without looking over your shoulder. Later that week, Michelle stopped by Bill's office with a fresh cup of coffee. "Try this," she said, smiling. "It's a new blend I found. It's called New Beginnings." He accepted the cup, the warmth brushing between their hands. "Perfect name," he said. "Stronger than expected, with a little sweetness." They shared a quiet moment, the kind that didn't need grand gestures. Outside, sunlight poured through the glass, washing the office in gold. Michelle turned to leave, but Bill's voice stopped her. "You ever think about starting something of your own?" She blinked. "You mean like your own cleaning service, or maybe something bigger? I know investors who'd back you." She smiled, a little shy but certain. "Maybe someday. For now, I'm just happy being free." He nodded, raising his coffee cup in salute. To freedom.
That night, Michelle picked up Marchand from her mother's house. As they drove home, the city lights flickered against the windshield like small stars. "Mom," he said sleepily, "you're smiling again." She looked at him through the rearview mirror. "Yeah, baby, I guess I am." In the background, a soft voiceover fades in. Sometimes, the person who saves you doesn't arrive in shining armor, but in a business suit at midnight. Sometimes, protection is a whisper in the dark. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is believe that you deserve peace. If you found strength in Michelle's story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life tales of courage, love, and second chances.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you loved this story, you will definitely love the next one. It's more intriguing than you can ever imagine. So go ahead and watch it now. Click on the image on your screen right away to watch the next one. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It helps and encourages us to share the best human interest stories you'd love.